out of Texas A&M and Max Johnson, and how different are they any different than what they were earlier in the year? What do you see out of them?
No, I think they're the same. Honestly, I didn't even realize. I mean, I know the other quarterback got hurt, but I didn't realize how many snaps Johnson has played in his career. I mean, this kid is a veteran. He's extremely poised. I mean, they're running their offense, and some of the plays that he's made, under duress, just kind of speaks to his confidence and the confidence they have in him as a quarterback. So I don't think they really missed a beat. I think they've, obviously tried to play to his strengths. He's a lefty, but at the end of the day, I think they're very similar.
Rob, then Vince.
Coach, when we were asking all preseason, where's the pass rush going to come from? Where's the pass rush going to come from? I know you were confident, but did you think it would be, what it is, producing at this level?
Yeah, obviously every year, you try to, figure out where you can be better at, and obviously that was an area we knew we needed to improve on. And yeah, I mean, we always feel confident that the things that we work on, we're going to see some returns on it. And pass rush isn't any different. Pass coverage isn't any different. Those guys have really worked extremely hard, on their crafts, and you guys are obviously seeing the fruits of their labor.
Obviously, talent is a big part of success on offense for A&M, but what do they do scheme-wise with Coach Petrino that may present some challenges for you guys?
Yeah, I think all the gap schemes that these guys run, all the pin and pull plays, they're a physical group. They want to run the ball downhill. They got a pretty healthy amount of running backs that are interchangeable that they'll bring in there. And, you don't see a lot of two-back run games from a lot of people. And those guys have the ability to get into some two-back situations and, try to out-gap you, so to speak, with, a true fullback, if you will. So it's a tough scheme to get ready for, particularly in this day and age in football, because you don't see a lot of that. So we know we're going to have our hands full, and, we're going to need every single practice to be able to get ready for it.
Casey, Austin, and Ben.
Last week, Arion Carter mentioned that he had been in the film room a lot more recently. The work ethic that he has to just always try and better himself. How have you seen that play out in his growth?
Well, it's tremendous, because he is that kid. He's a kid who wanted to be great, all the way back to the recruiting process. And, every kid thinks they'll just show up and, take over with their athleticism. But the reality of it is, at this level, it's the small margins that you're going to win in, and that's obviously the film study, that's taking care of your body, that's doing all those little things. And he's really committed to that lifestyle at this point. So we're very pleased with where he is. And we know that he's really, if I'm being honest, just scratching the surface on how good he can truly be.
How much do you think being able to rotate more this year? I mean, even with a guy like Jordan Collins who got in there and started 2 weeks ago, and almost got the safety. Obviously you've been rotating a lot of corner and linebacker and the defensive line. How much do you think that's helped the overall defense? And then specifically on the DBs, what do you feel like Kamal's doing well right now, and then Gabe feels like he's playing really well?
Yeah, I think anytime you can rotate guys is great for the long term. We're starting to come down the back stretch of the season, and obviously nobody's as healthy as they were, at the beginning of the season. So, the more guys you can play and take some of those licks off of them, the better. And then I think the second component of it is just great for morale. Guys work extremely hard, and you only get so many opportunities. So any chance you get to get those guys in the game to let them, feel the energy and feel a part of it is always a benefit for us. So that's been tremendous. As far as Gabe goes and Kamal, I think both of those guys are playing well. They're confident in what they're doing. I think just like anything, you got to have thick skin to be able to play corner. It's very similar to quarterback. Everybody sees you. A lot of times they don't see, the really good things that they do all game, but they'll always recognize the bad play. So Gabe's been solid all year. He's been physical when he needed to be, in terms of tackling. And I think Kamal's starting to come along. He's obviously has really good ball skills. And as he continues to, work through his technique, which he does, I think the sky's the limit for both of those guys.
Tim, speaking of those DBs, just how difficult of a challenge is it this weekend for them with some of the playmakers that A&M has out in space, and just what have you seen from their group there?
Yeah, I mean, A&M, again, from the running backs to, the skill guys on the edges, they've got really good, players that have shown up on tape, against everybody week in and week out. Those guys do a really good job of, A, with their coaches, putting them in situations for them to be successful, and B, when the ball is in those guys' hands, we got to do a great job of tackling. So it's going to be a tremendous matchup. I mean, it really is. I feel really good about our back end and our secondary and the direction that we're headed. And just like every, SEC opponent will see, these guys are no different. They have tremendous amount of skill over there, and we'll have to play at a high level to be able to be successful.
John and Brent.
Coach in the back, as a fellow defensive back, Eric Berry's getting honored this weekend. Just what did you see when he was playing that made him so special, and what creates such a special defensive back like him?
Yeah, I mean, from afar, as I've had a chance to watch him, I watched him then, just his passion, the energy that he played with, I don't know, can you teach instincts? I don't know, but his instincts were off the board, off the charts, and he just played so fast, and you could just feel the energy and the passion when he made plays. All the players that have come back and have talked about him just talks about his leadership skills as well, particularly on the field. So it's a tremendous honor, obviously, for him. And, we talk about him a lot in the recruiting process. He set the bench, or the standard of what, a defensive back looks like, as a ball, so we're trying to recruit those type of guys. But he was definitely a pleasure to watch. And obviously it's a great to have him on our sideline, hopefully this weekend.
Last two, Brent and Patrick.
Yeah, Tim, I know you're multiple all the time, but when you have a pass rush, whether it's getting home or just pressuring the quarterback, how much more freedom does that give you as a play caller? How much does that change the variety of things you can do front to back with your defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge, because obviously the more guys that you send, the more pressure you put on the back end. And, anytime you can get home with 4, your coverage variety, starts to expand, and, it gives guys a chance to, not just always be in one-on-one situations. So, our front's done a really good job of obviously getting to the quarterback, but I would tell guys, just like I said last year, but I think our secondary's done a really good job of buying some time to give those guys a chance. So it always goes hand in hand, but definitely when you can get home with 4, it definitely takes some of the pressure off the back end and the back 7 in general.
Coach, at linebacker, you guys obviously lost Keenan early, had to kind of force feed those young guys a little bit. Has there changed much with what you guys do with Aaron in terms of his responsibilities, both during the game and during the week too, and how he sort of responded to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think the more they play, obviously, the better they'll get, the more comfortable they'll get. You always want to play the guys' strengths, and put them in the best possible situations to be successful. But there is no substitution for playing. I mean, it really is. And I looked out there one time, I saw T-Lander and AC out there at the same time. It's just what it is, man. 2 true freshmen, playing in big football games. But that's what they signed up for. That's why we recruited them. So, as they continue to grow, we'll continue to give them more. But I wouldn't tell you we cut our playbook in half by any stretch. Those guys have to learn it and they have to execute it. And so far, they've been really up for the task.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.